Hello kiddies and welcome to episode 50 of TechSpurt Weekly. I for one never thought we would make it even to episode 5, let alone episode 50, so this definitely warrants some sort of special celebration. Unfortunately, I don't have any party poppers, I don't have any bunting, I don't even have any balloons, but what I do have is booze, thank Christ. And what better way to celebrate it, even though drinking booze is basically what I do on a daily basis anyway. Oh, burns so good. But seriously, a huge, massive thank you to everyone who started watching this bollocks right back at episode 1 and is still watching now in episode 50 over a year later. I can only imagine the state of your head. But enough rambling, we've got an action-packed special episode 50 for you, so let's crack on. TechSpurt Weekly. So first up this week, there was a phone launch. What happened? And I'll give you one shiny wee guess as to which manufacturer was involved with that one. That's right kiddies, it was all great mates Motorola. And a word of warning as well, if you are playing the Motorola drinking game at home where you down a shot every time I say Motorola, you might want to get 2-litre bottles on standby. And just to be sure, probably a stomach pump as well. So while we're yet to see the fresh Motorola Moto Edge S around these parts, us Europe folk will be getting 2 new cheapy Moto blowers any week now. Say hi to the new Motorola Moto G10 and the Moto G30. So right off the bat, this is quite confusing because the Motorola Moto G10 mostly sports specs and features that you'd expect from a Moto E series handset, which is generally a little bit cheaper than the Moto Gs. Meanwhile, the Moto G30 looks more like a true Moto G9 successor. Both fresh Motorola blowers serve up a 6.5-inch HD Plus display, not Full HD Plus, although the G30 does at least deliver a tasty bit of 90Hz refresh action. Both are stock Android 11 handsets, and yeah, you've got that stupid Google Assistant button on the edge of both, plus a physical fingerprint sensor slapped around the back. Performance-wise, the Moto G10 makes do with the Snapdragon 460 backed by 4GB of RAM, while the G30 upgrades the specs to a Snapdragon 662 backed by either 4 or 6GB of memory. And the G30 also offers a choice of 64 or 128GB of storage, while both of them support microSD expansion. As for the battery tech, well, it's a 5000 mAh cell stuffed inside both of these Moto handsets, but the G30 boosts the charging tech to 20 watts from a measly 10 watts on the G10. And the Moto G10 has a 48 megapixel quad pixel primary camera, while the Moto G30 upgrades the megapixel count to 64. But both phones also have a 5 megapixel ultra-wide angle lens, a depth sensor, and oh yes, a macro lens, be still my beating heart. And you've also got a simple 8 megapixel selfie cam on the Moto G10 and a 13 megapixel effort on that G30. Now the Moto G10 will cost you 129 quid when it lands here in the UK, which again is more in line with some of those Moto E series handsets. Meanwhile, the G30 will cost you 159 quid, or 20 quid more if you buy the Amazon only exclusive model, which will boast 128GB of storage. As for the release date, well, both of these Motorola handsets will be available soon, which is suitably f***ing vague, and hopefully I'll be bringing you full unboxings and reviews of these blowers soon. Because one question I got is, does this mean we're not going to see any more Moto Play or Plus or Power handsets in the future? Is everything just going to basically be a letter and then a number? I really struggle to see it basically there, I don't know why. Well, who even knows? And if you've been playing along at home, you're probably all far too bollocks now to care, just in case Motorola. So let's move swiftly on. Now we are fast approaching that time of year when you can expect a buttload of new smartphone launches to happen. Poor old Uncle Spurt here is not going to get any chance to catch up on any sleep. Thank Christ I got plenty of these bad boys then. And if this week's rumours are on the money, then it looks like Samsung is gearing up for yet another launch as well, despite having only just released its bloody S21 flagship smartphones. Leaks have exposed the upcoming A52 and A52 5G mid-range mobiles, which apparently will sort out the performance issues of last year's A51, with a Snapdragon 720G stuffed in the LTE model and a 750G powering that 5G version. They'll also gain IP67 water and dust resistance while retaining the best A51 features like that poppy AMOLED screen. But here's hoping that the cameras get some love too, as the A51 struggled in less than perfect conditions. These leaks all came courtesy of a German website called WinFuture that I've never heard of before, but the pics do look fairly legit. But then I have admittedly been fooled by things that look legit in the past. Just look at my previous trip to Thailand. And this week we also saw leaked photos which allegedly show off Xiaomi's upcoming Mi 11 Ultra, a considerably more bonkers version of the fresh Mi 11 flagship phone. And what should immediately catch your eye here is that bonerific camera housing, which isn't just effing massive, but also packs a secondary display. It's kind of reminiscent of the very funky Nubia Z20, one of the most unique and memorable smartphones from 2019. This sported a much bigger screen on the arse end, which could be used as a viewfinder to take selfies or video chat with the rear camera, thus eliminating the need for a not as good selfie cam. And according to these leaks, it appears that most of, if not all, of the rest of the specs will be very similar or identical to the regular Mi 11, including that beefcake Snapdragon 888 chipset, of course. Nice. So I've fully reviewed the Xiaomi Mi 11 here on TechSpurt, so go check out my full in-depth review of that big bugger to see how much I enjoyed it. Spoiler alert, I like it very much. And anyway, that's more than enough hot tech news to choke a donkey, so now it's time for the part of the show that's about as ill-advised as painting your old fella green and lying down in a mongoose pit. It's viewer comments. Viewer comments. Oh god, I've got absolutely no idea how to pronounce this, so apologies in advance for mauling it. Lorryball Kanker Iskein Schildwood? Schildwood? Sorry, it's been a while since my last visit to a Munich beer hall, so my German's a little bit rusty. But he or she says, love that you still manage to make it entertaining when you don't actually have any content to cover. Yeah, the news was a tad dry last week, to say the least, but thanks for sticking with it. Next up, Oliver says, if you see this next week, happy episode 50. Cheers very much, fella, and thanks to everyone else who said happy episode 50 in advance. I honestly did not think it would make it this far. I mean, let's face it, it helps that it's just a crappy little YouTube show. If this was a legit show on a channel, I'm pretty sure it wouldn't have made it past the pilot stage. Next up, Owen McCann says, there's a fishing village in Donegal Island called Math. Amazing, wow. I mean, after the Haribo Town, come on, that's got to be next on the hit list. As soon as we get a TechSpurt Roadshow on the go, Haribo Town, and then we're hitting Math. Sorry, I absolutely have to look this up on the Wikipedias now. So according to this, Muff has experienced significant growth in population recently. Apparently, people love a bit of Muff. Oh god, what am I doing with my life? Each summer, usually during the first week in August, the village celebrates the Muff Festival. The Muff Festival, come on people. I tell you what, I 100%, when it's possible again, I'm going to be shooting a TechSpurt Weekly live from the Muff Festival. That's just too good an opportunity to pass up. Apparently Muff has its very own football team, hopefully a diving association too. Hang on, the footy team is called Quigley's Point Swifts. What? Come on. Missed opportunity there. Surely they should have called themselves the Muff Kickers. No, right, okay, sorry, that's enough Muff jokes. Not just for this show, probably for a lifetime. Next up, Shilvio says, why am I still watching TechSpurt videos? I mean, to be honest, after all that Muff shenanigans, I'd be surprised if anyone is still watching TechSpurt videos. I do not know the answer to that, Shilvio, my man, but all I do know is that I love you for doing so. Next up, Jedi Polar Bear says, I've found Listerine, nail polish remover and fairy dishwasher tablets mixed together and inhaled through the nose gives less of a hangover than bleach. Ooh, look at you with your fancy pants cocktails. La-di-da. A cigar with your posh drink, monsieur. No, I've actually got proper booze again this week, thank Christ. Fully stocked up again. Got double the supplies in just to be sure. Sticking with the theme of alcohol, because why not? GLC says, are there any drinks that you dislike? I thought you were drinking Blue Wicked in that last video. Good old Blue Wicked. I mean, that brings back some memories, that does. Christ, I remember back in the day, sometimes as a dare, someone would mix together Blue Wicked and Smirnoff Ice in just like a bucket, basically, and you'd have to down the whole lot. I tell you what, that would not only get you proper twatted, it would take the skin off your throat. As far as there being any drinks that I dislike, not really, to be honest. I'm not really particularly discerning when it comes to booze. One thing I've never got behind is Baileys. I just cannot get that. I've had some bad Baileys before and it kind of curdled in my throat as it was going down, and that just put me off for life. Anything else is fair game. Next up, David says, I fell asleep pissed on a Virgin Trains toilet once. My buddy had to get the train guard to hack the electric door, and there I was, slumped with my trousers around the ankles. Those were the days. Fun times. It just shows how smooth the Virgin Trains experience must be though. If you tried falling asleep on an East Coast toilet, one thing's for sure, about 30 seconds later you'd be violently woken up again as the train swerved around a corner and slammed your face into the wall. Honestly, I've never known a train journey as rough as that. It's absolutely bloody ridiculous. And that's why every time you wander into a toilet cubicle in an East Coast train, you're wading literally through about 3 inches of piss. Because actually trying to direct your urine stream into that toilet while the train is moving is like a particularly harrowing and difficult round on like Takeshi's Castle or something. But seriously, if you're a guy and you ever find yourself on an East East Coast trains, there's a queue for the toilet. Don't bother queuing up, just basically get an empty Coke bottle or something, relieve yourself into that, and then empty the bottle all over your legs, because it's basically the same result. Next up, Etienne says, many moons ago, after having spent my taxi money on a kebab, that sounds very familiar indeed, I fell asleep in the middle of a roundabout during my meander home. Luckily, a passing police car saw me and took me home to my parents. I was 16 or 17. Ouch. I bet your folks were really chuffed when the coppers showed up at their door with a drunk ass son in tow. Thankfully, I've never been escorted home by coppers before. I have been chased kind of once by a cop when I was drunkenly urinating around the back of the kebab shop, I believe it was, in Sunderland town centre before getting the last bus home. I was like, hey, I'll be able to get away from this athletic fit guy who's used to chasing criminals all day, despite the fact that I'm a fat sack of crap. And only Christ knows how much beer and red pig sloshing around inside of me, my willy still hanging out, spraying urine and all sorts. I think I made it about 4 foot before I had the hand on my shoulders like a, what do you think you're doing, son? Just another charming story from the Uncle Spurt reservoirs, plenty more where that came from. Next up, Hunbella says, hi, do you have any info on when we're going to see the Xperia 1 Mark III or the WF-1000 Mark IVs or whatever they're going to call them? F me, it's an actual tech question. Thank you very much, Hunbella. Sadly, there's nothing official from Sony, certainly at the time I shot this, no official word on when their next big launch is going to be, but hopefully should be soon. It's normally sort of end of February or sort of sometime in March. I'm guessing it'll be March time now, as it's pretty much the end of Feb. Next up, Kevin says, thanks for the macro lens review. I might just stand a bit closer to things when I'm taking a picture instead. Great tactic, agreed. Next comment is Jason Statham, presumably not the Jason Statham, although that would be pretty freaking awesome. Jason says, I think we are due a Motorola review. If it is you, Jason, yes, please don't snap both of my arms and break my kneecaps. I promise I will get some more Motorola reviews on the go. G10 and G30 hopefully should be coming in any day now. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm already super moist in anticipation. Next, Rust and Oil says, are you going to do a review of budget-friendly Chromebooks anytime soon? Yes, I have actually done some Chromebook reviews here on TechSpurt. But the problem is that Trusted Reviews, a little while back, they basically commissioned me to review like a dozen of the bloody things all in a row. And that kind of, got me a little bit sick of Chromebooks, to say the least. Frankly, I vowed that if I saw another Chromebook ever again, I would absolutely mince the motherfucker. But yeah, it's been a little while now. I really should just grab the beast by the balls and get back on that Chromebook action, because they are good value, and if you just want something to piss about on the web with and stuff, they are actually pretty good. We've had a few Netflix show suggestions as well, which I'm going to nick and try and get commissioned. So Lego Pieces says, the intense paint watching competition. Definitely still better than at least 80% of the content on there. Morel Mushy P says, Sunderland till I chai. Each week, celebrities try to order flowery drinks in tough northern boozers. In week 1, Louis Theroux loudly orders a lager and lime in the Barrow Arms with hilarious consequences. Oh, poor old Louis. I mean, I love the fact as well that he's gone to America and interviewed some of the toughest gangs and some really messed up criminal types and everything. But yeah, it's probably ordering a shandy in the Barrow Arms that would finally see him away. Traction on standby. David suggests pro-celebrity badger baiting with John Craven and Theresa May. I've just got a really horrible image now of John like chasing them all out of the undergrowth, waving his arms wildly, and Theresa May just being at the other side, just smacking them all with a cricket bat as they come running out. I mean, I gotta be honest, David, I reckon that even Netflix would probably turn that one down, mate. And final suggestion, John has gone for TechSpurt's questionable internet history exposed. No, that definitely stays between me and my ISP, mate. Next up, Graham Felgate says, what's blue and legal? I mean, is this like a joke or a legitimate question? I kind of hope the answer to this is Smurfette, because I've carried a bit of a torch for her ever since my awkward adolescent days. You might have to elaborate a bit on that though. Deadu says, will you ever do rugged smartphones? I've actually done some rugged smartphones here on TechSpurt. The Doogie ones are the sort of prime example. Quite good, perfectly good as like secondary handsets, which you want to take out on an outdoor excursion. Great battery life and will do the job just fine. Of course, my only outdoor excursions these days are to take the frickin' bins out, so I'm not going to be reviewing any of them anytime soon. And once again, time is running away from us, kiddies, so I better bring this episode of TechSpurt Weekly, that's what this is, to a close with one more comment. It comes from Tiny Apples. It says, how did you come up with TechSpurt? Well, it's nothing particularly clever. It's basically a kind of a play on words, kind of like expert, but with tech in it. And of course the word spurt, which was the important one, because spurt, it's almost as good as muff. I mean, really, I should have just called it Tech Muff and been done with it. So anyway, a massive thank you to everyone who left a comment last week. Apologies if I didn't get to yours. Please do slap your questions, comments, theories on life, etc. down in the comments below, and I will smash through those, as many as possible. Next week, next Friday at noon, as usual. Just about enough time to have a look at the calendar for next week. And of course, Monday is the big Huawei Mate X2 launch. January the 22nd. And got a couple of other bits which I can't speak about just yet because they're under embargo. But yeah, definitely stay tuned for lots of hot content next week. I've got a couple of Samsung phones coming in as well, the likes of the Galaxy A12 budget blower, which I'm hoping to do an unboxing on. And I believe that the A52 5G is now going on sale as well. Yep. So I'll hopefully get one of those in for review as well. So stay tuned for all of that shenanigans. And I'm going to bugger off now. So have a lovely weekend, everyone. Cheers for joining us for episode 50. Here's to another 50 episodes of this bollocks. Love you.